What's going on, everybody? Brian Cameron here with the latest in your Eagles stock watch. Heading into Week 13, where the Eagles will take on the 8-4 Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. And while the offense is the topic of conversation, I'm here to tell you why the defense needs to be at the forefront of every conversation and which players have their stock rising heading into Week 13. The players whose stock is rising is somebody that should get talked about more than they're getting talked about at this point. Jalen Carter, the first-round pick of the Eagles several seasons ago, is having a phenomenal year. He has 35 pressures, he has 4 sacks, 24 hurries, and he's just doing it at an incredible rate. But not only is he contributing with his own numbers, he's making a way for the guys around him to contribute as well. You're seeing a Josh Sweat, a Nolan Smith come off the edge and benefit off of what Jalen Carter is presenting to the quarterback in the middle of the line. If we could give out individual team awards, Jalen Carter is the MVP of this defense because he has become the anchor of this defensive line. He's everything that we expected him to be. He is as advertised to us when the Eagles drafted him. Another defensive lineman whose stock is rising is Milton Williams. 2 sacks on Sunday against the Rams. He did have a forced fumble. Milton Williams is everything you want in a defensive lineman to be lined up alongside Jalen Carter. We expected this out of Jordan Davis. Milton Williams also is pretty good against the run, and he's shown that this season as well with 9 stops. He also has 6 sacks on the season. Milton Williams is right there on the cusp of reaching 10, which I believe is going to be a career high for him. I'm hoping and I'm praying that the Eagles actually extend him by the end of the season, before the season ends. Whatever you need to do, Howie Roseman, Milton Williams and Jalen Carter are the formidable force that we need when it comes to rushing a passer. And what's great about it is you can be creative with a Milton Williams and Jalen Carter, where you can line one of them up on the edge and have Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, and Jalen Carter all together on the defensive line at the same time. The Eagles are showing that they're getting creative with this defense. They're benefiting by allowing guys who were riding the bench bit last season. These guys are getting the beneficial snaps and they're doing the right thing with their opportunities. His stock is also rising alongside Nolan Smith, who's coming along well. We're seeing the burst off the line of scrimmage there, the speed is there, and now he's added a little power to it where he's actually taking out tackles on his way to the quarterback. This defensive line, it's one for the ages because Jalen Carter is a star, right? But there's no superstar on this line, right? There's no guy that you say this guy's going to have 20 sacks in a season. No, this team is working in unison and making things happen together. And I feel like Jalen Carter is the anchor. You have Milton Williams benefiting. You have Nolan Smith benefiting. And these guys, week in and week out, they're balling. Their stocks are completely rising. And let's stay on the defense. We're going to talk about the next guy who I feel like his stock is actually rising for the way that he's taking advantage of his own opportunity. Isaiah Rodgers is another guy whose stock is actually rising. Darius Slay did go down with a concussion in the game against the Rams, and Isaiah Rodgers stepped in and actually did really well. He's only allowed 5 completions in the season. Granted, he's only been targeted 7 times. He's allowed 50 yards, but he's been a reliable guy that could come in and you don't feel like the defense is missing a beat. He's good against the run. Did get picked on quite a bit against the Rams, but you didn't see him falter. You didn't see him get frustrated. This secondary, they trust each other, and they trust each other to make plays, and it seems like Fangio trusts these guys to make plays as well. Speaking of Vic Fangio, we got to talk about this. The way he's adjusted to this season, to the abilities of his players, is night and day to what we were hearing from Miami. Vic Fangio has the #1 defense in the NFL because Vic Fangio is doing things that nobody expected him to do. He's adjusting on the fly. He's being creative with his calls. He's being creative with his players. Zach Bond is a guy that we signed to a 1-year deal and did not expect him to boom the way he's booming. Cooper DeJean is probably the anchor of that second level of the defense, and he's been phenomenal, and he's a rookie. Quinyon Mitchell is probably one of the top cornerbacks in the league, and he's a rookie. You're seeing all these guys just flourish under this scheme, and Vic Fangio deserves a big tip of the hat. So his stock is rising. I will be honest, I don't have anybody's stock falling after this week. Everybody played their part. Everybody did what they had to do. I respect Nick Sirianni, the way he handled himself on the sideline in moments of the game. It'll be a little bit of a nitpicking move if I complain about the fact that he overturned his decision on a penalty. But hey, it's the NFL. You do what you want and you get away with what you want. But Nick Sirianni has taken a backseat and allowed his veteran coordinators to do what they do best. And you're seeing that flourish with the team. They're coming off a big win. The momentum is there. Momentum does exist, I feel like. I'm sorry, Jalen, but it is there. They're carrying that week in, week out. I'm sad to say that, BG is not going to be a part of this team's run into the playoffs or for the rest of the season. I truly do hope that he does come back for one more year. We get to see him ride into the sunset the way he wants to do, as opposed to going out with an injury. But right now, this team is booming. Prices are high. They're doing everything that they should be doing, and I have no complaints on this week's Eagles Stock Watch. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to tune in next week as we discuss the results of the Baltimore Ravens and Eagles game, and hope that the Eagles are coming up on top on that. Until then, I'm Brian Cameron. This is Eagles Stock Watch. Go Birds.